Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My friend out there, there's an old expression that is in the wine world. It's in Vino Veritas. In wine, there is truth. And the truth really is about either people are kind of really drunk or maybe not. But the truth of about wine or the truth you're telling when you have too much wine are very questionable what kind of truth that is all about. However, the most important thing about wine and the way that we behave around it, it's a long standing story. And it's funny because a lot of time those expressions, they survive histories, they survive millennia and centuries, and so people keep on repeating like is factual. It's like, in wine there is a truth, and when people drink and they are a little bit over the top drunk, they will basically reveal all the secrets there is. My experience is totally opposite. Whatever personality or whatever person you are just still the same person. Doesn't matter whether you're drunk or not. The only difference is the accelerations, the enthusiasm or the lack of the when you drink a lot of wine. I just had a very long afternoon with different wine vendors. Taste about 15 different wines from all over Italy. And here's what the truth is: when you enjoy wines, you are looking for certain particular things that are very much exciting you or you're enjoyable for you. And that's really, it's about the simplicity of wine. So when I looking at wine for my customers, for my for my clients and friends, for me, there are totally different process in place because one can always buy certain popular wines. They have a big score. They're very famous. They show up in a different magazine and so on and so on. However, for me, it's very bit different because it's very personal. I love having personal relationship. I like to think that when I sit down and I choose a bottle of wine, that bottle of wine has a person or number of persons they will go to. And that's the truth about wine. There's a lot of story about how people choose wine, why they choose wine. And, one of the biggest legends there around the wine that if you make it more mythological, more inaccessible, the wine is suddenly picks this nuance of untouchable, you know, and that is true for people that actually don't drink wines. They are very expensive or very elusive, if you will. But that doesn't change anything because, these kind of wines, whether we're talking about Petrus, whether we're talking about DRC, or some really boutique small property in the middle of somewhere in the hills of France or Italy, those are conversations. And the truth about those conversations are, yes, interesting and exciting. It can make for a great conversational night. It can even spur a little bit of enthusiasm and excitement, which it does. But doesn't change the fact that wine are made to drink, wine are made to enjoy, wine are made to communicate and share with other people. So when I first started in the wine business, I knew a lot different stories about wine. My grandfather used to tell me certain stories, and my granduncle take him another story. My father told me another story. So, and then of course the whole town made wine, so everybody had their own stories. And of course, the story has to be always about us. After all, people don't drink with their palate. They don't drink with their mouth. Let's be serious. People drink because they either thirsty or they want to impress somebody or they want to prove that they have a better product. And in farming, it's very much like that because you have a little pride. You have to show up all your hard working, your choices. It doesn't matter whether the choices are not good. You're still gonna be pridey. Oh my God, I spent so much time, and my uncle brought these cuttings from. In my case, actually, it's true. My brought this cutting from the south of France, and it's one of the most beautiful white wine you have had. And on the end, end up to be that was just a good. It wasn't great, honestly. In between my father, my grandfather, and my uncle, they never really made the great wines. They made the good wines, honest wines that you would drink. My grandfather used to say it tastes like a morgulella, which in dialect means it's like a baby strawberries. And I always remember that expression because I was looking for that in most every wine as I start drinking wine. And it's like, oh, I can find the morgulella. I cannot find, especially when I start drinking those very complex and big wines from the Barolo region and the Brunello. Everything was like spices and the wood and the this and the that and the other thing. What happened to the morgulella? What happened to the little strawberry that my grandfather was talking about? But obviously, we know that grapes and varietal of grapes have their own personality. Some obvious, some not so obvious. Some, like Pinot, you can distinguish very quickly. La Sauvignon Blanc, you can pick it up very quickly. Muscat, classic, very typical of the nose of Muscat. The Riesling, it's one of the classic example. And the idea, it's that this unique personality are sometimes expressions. They are either mystified or in many cases people just hate it. And so just to give you an example, a friend of mine one time says, what I really love about great German Riesling is that diesel, the kerosene aromatic that is so unique. And I stopped. It's like, whoa. Kerosene, diesel, what are you drinking? And he goes, oh, no, you know what I'm talking about in like a very good trunk lesson. It's like, no, I know what you're talking about, but we can't just go to a table and tell, I have this special bottle of a kerosene for you. You're going to love it. And it's got the little pick back on the diesel. So basically, I can just park my truck and you're going to be fine. So, yes, sometimes we, in Vino Veritas, we tell in truth a little bit bigger than what it's supposed to be. Truth to be told is that the fruit composition and the sugar level into the Riesling has this very unique over-ripening characteristic, and it becomes very unique in his own ways. It's a particular nose that is very typical of a Riesling, and it's beautiful. A touch, like truffle. A touch of a truffle is so pretty and aromatic, but when it's very strong, it reminds you a lot of the garlic or the wet dirt, under the brush of the forest. It can be a little bit overwhelming for some people, for lovers, and they think that's the smell that brings them too close to heaven. And so when we are talking about wines in general, I like to say to people, the truth is kind of a story of one mother's with many fathers, So it's pretty much about what you're telling and what you're talking about. And sometimes there is a bigger and larger and better story that come along for a reason that we don't know. I remember talking to a master sommelier, a friend of mine that took about several years to become a master sommelier. Very proud of him because he did a great job. I met him when he was just a salesman, and he was trying to show his prowess about his knowledge and everything else. The first thing he did, he criticized my wine list by not what was in a wine list because it was impressive, but some of the mistakes, grammatic mistake I made. Of course, English is my fourth language, so it's okay if I And besides, I would never lose my accent or any because it's who I am and I love it and people love it and so I'm okay with it. But he goes like, well, I just want to let you know that wines will sell much faster and better if. Let me stop you right here. Let me stop right here. First of all, I have 92-page wine list. Really. You think my customers are going to open the page? That's why I got tired. I made a mistake and I want to correct it. They're 99 page. Plus I got to print it, 10 of them or 15 of them. So no, I'm bored. Done with it. Because when I receive a guest in my restaurants and they are the kind of people that they are really excited and interested about wine, I go right to the table and have a conversation. Because, part of what makes wine so beautiful, so interesting, so exciting is a relationship in between the person who talks about the wine or introduce the wine and the recipients. And also the awareness what the wine is going to serve as a purpose at the table. Wine and food pairing is one of my things. I love, because my master chef background, I love food and wine pairing because I think it has such a wonderful dimension to the whole wine experience. And so I would be remiss if I wouldn't want to be engaged with my customers about the wine and the wine experience and what the wine is from, and a little bit of a chit chat just to get to know each other. After all, this is what the wine industry is about. This is about a consumer go out to have a nice evening, and so the participation, the way of engaging and give a little bit of synopsis, a little bit of locations, a little bit of background, maybe on the producer, maybe on the wine himself. The varietal is very important. So to me, the wine list is really, let's tell another truth. It's for people to check the price. Honestly, that's what it is. But for me, it's easy because I tell the people the price. Unless they are a guest on the table, they don't want to know, and I just go and point to the wine on the list, and that way they can see what the price is. And they say, hey, but in most cases, my customer trusts me. I don't feel like going to a table and oversell a product that is not necessary. To me, it's a very simple proposition. It's not a question of I'm going to go and gouge my customers. It's not the kind of relationship I love. To me, the fact that we trust each other, the fact that we are enjoying each other's company, and we create moments and memories that will last a long time. Because after all, remember, a restaurateur in himself, life is very busy. And believe it or not, your friends are your customers. And over time, they are more than friends. They're more than family sometimes. They are the people that you have the most history together. And to just be blunt, rude, and take advantage of it is just short-sighted. And so for me, I love to present to my customers a product that is reflecting the event, the food, and also the kind of guests they have. And so there are lingo in the restaurants business that we all understand. If somebody comes, I want a light wines, easy to drink, they want to stay within a certain dollar amount. Right? So if they come in and say, oh, tonight is a special night, I really want, celebrate. Well, that opens up a lot of venues and a lot of different opportunity for everybody. So, but in any case, the ideas is always the same. Customers love to have engagement. They love to participations. And if you steer them in the right direction, they will come back and love the experience to be repeated many times over. So to me, it's always been, the wine list has been one of those things that it sits there and it's interesting. And believe me, I spend a lot of time and money to come up with a leather cover. It looked like the Abbey of Monte Cassino or the Abbey of Genie, whatever. On the end of the day, it was just a very heavy things that I carry around, that my guys and girls carry around in restaurants, because 90% of all wines were sold by us in a personal, intimate way. So for me, it's still today is the same truth that I tell all the time. The sell a bottle of wine is in itself is just an activity. But to create a moment and a relationship, it's much more than that. You have to stay focused. You have to be engaged. You have to pay attention what the customers and the clients' desire and wishes are there for that moment, and then the rest it's easy because it really is easy. People came to have fun. People came to enjoy. You just have to provide the platform for people to feel that enjoyment. And so when you actually open up a good bottle of wine, when you open up a wonderful bottle of wine with a great relationship begins. So, but some of the silly things that people say about wine, they somehow, that when people drink wine, they're telling the truth. I tell you, I sit for many, many years with people drinking wine. I hear a lot of story. No, I hear a lot of story. I don't know about a lot of story, truth story. In fact, I must say that probably the most fantastic story I heard is when people are actually drinking wine. But I don't know how much credit I give it to those stories. But they're interesting. They're exciting. So it's okay. It's really okay. But the truth, that's to be seen. Because also remember that if you're not a nice guy, it's just because you're drunk, you don't become a nice guy. You just become a drunker, not nice guy. And vice versa. If you're a really nice guy, I had a friend of mine, and when every time he got toasted, he was like the quietest little fuzzy bear in the corner. And we ask, hey, how's everything? That's good, his voice is good, everything is good. And then we have the belligerent one, it doesn't matter. He was belligerent when he came, and he was belligerent after he left. And on top of that, he cost us 2-3 bottles of wine that are better off not drinking it. So, here's the truth. In Vino Veritas, especially when it comes to the truth about the wine. See, this is the angle that a lot of time gets missed. The truth about the wine. So keep in mind that wine is a farm product. That's just an agriculture product. Simple, grows, easy to raise. In a great conditions, everybody can make a decent bottle of wine. But great conditions not always available. And so we went from farming product to an industry. As an industry, it's complicated, right? There is a lot of situations that must be addressed and taken care of. And look, the way I see it, I'm not a conspiracy theory guy. I believe in reality. I believe I'm very positive. I've seen what I've seen. I know what I know. And I share some with you, not to put a damp on the pleasure of loving wine, enjoy wine, or even go to wine tasting, see wineries, because I believe that information is the key. If you have more information on your available to you, and if you have more information that you can use in your toolbox, you will make a better decision. You will make a better choice. And it doesn't mean that you're going to change your ways. It doesn't mean that you're going to suddenly want to become a wine expert. It don't need to be. You need to be. You can just love exactly what you love, and maybe a little sprinkle of knowledge here and there. It's a good thing. It helps you, helps me, helps the consumer. Because, as a wine professional, right? I'm using this very liberal, kind of throw it on there. As a person who spends most of his life procuring wine for my consumer, my customers, my friend, I like to believe that I have incredible ethics, and I believe that I look out for my customers when it comes to buy the right wines. Now, the right wine doesn't mean that my wine is better than your wine. I just want to make sure that it's an healthy product. There is no manipulation to the process, that it might provoke some issues, and they are. I want to make sure that the product that is being represented is honest, so that people don't sell you a bunch of raisins from Modesto, calling them Cabernet Sauvignon, and there is a Grenache and some minor grapes growing in a vast land in Kern Valley. It's nothing wrong if you use for cooking. It's nothing wrong if you like a Jag wine. But if somebody sells you a quality premium wine and they're trying to make you believe, then somebody has to say, no, no, that's not true. And not because you shouldn't buy or shouldn't drink it. You should do whatever you want. I believe in that. That's one of the fundamental reasons why I love America. I became an American citizen. I truly believe in a principle that we are free. We are endowed by our creators. So whatever happiness you want to pursue, I'm good. So the question only is out there for you to, like everything else. Like you're walking into an hotel and there are a bunch of pamphlets and there are a bunch of restaurants, guide, and so on. You can pick up whatever you want and read it if you want to. If you don't, it's okay. Just go in the room and put on TV and watch whatever you want to watch. But for me, it's very simple because I want to be able to say to my customers, in all honesty, I taste 10 Gavi, I taste 5, 6 Cortese, and this is legit. It's a very wonderfully made product. It reflects the price structures. It's got the profile that this wine is supposed to have. And I know the producers or the process the producers use that is legit, is the right thing. Because like all food, all farming things, there is a Gianni Bifrontes situation, as I always, when I start, now you start understanding why I start so far back to the Roman Empire. Because for everything you do, there is an action that is equal and contrary. So if a product is not done right, there are some health consequences involved. And so we don't want to be in this conversation for a long time. We just want to kind of dust it off and say, hey, look, there are issues out there that we must look at. There's also some faux wines, just like there is fake news, just like there is a fake informations. And for some people, it's okay. But there are some fake wine that is very expensive and there's no reason to exist except that somebody done a great job to push it down people's throat because they bought a great article in magazines and they got a nice little pictures and so on and so on. I always want to and ask every single producers, be honest. If you don't grow the grapes, say so. If you don't make the wine, say so. If you do, say so. Because you know what? Those informations maybe are irrelevant to the greatest good, to the greatest consumption. It's maybe not important. Maybe it is. The consumer, though, my friend, needed to know. I needed to know because that's the kind of mind I am. I'm St. Thomas, I like putting my finger in the wound and find out if there was really hit. Not because I'm suspicious or I don't trust. It's because I take my job very serious. I take my role very serious. As a chef, I didn't bought into the farm to table. I came from farm to table. I understood from the very beginning the value of the short distance from growers to consumptions. And not because the climate change, it's just because the health of the product. Also, more people handle it, and worse it gets. Because the chain gets longer, and when it gets longer, too many things can happen in between. And when we're talking about food and wine, we're talking about things that we eat and drink. So there are things that are very important to us. There are health concerns that we must always address, especially in this day and age. Look what happened around us. So the health of our consumer, it's also a little selfish because I wanted my customer to live as long as possible because I need them and I love them. So there are multi-layer of truth, but the one that really it's important about wine is to know that there are very, very large number of honest, great producers around the world, almost everywhere. Australia, Chile, Peru, Argentina, Italy, anywhere. The only difference is because you have so much volume coming through, there is many opportunities, and it always been since the very beginning. There's always been opportunity for, let's say, less candid producers or less candid merchants. And so we sometimes justifiable try to be preventative towards our clients and customers, and sometimes people take a little bit as an offense because they think we're trying to snub their wine. Or I remember when people come to my restaurants and there was a big fad going on in California, and it began only because wine shops, they got really aggressive in selling wine, so they want to customers to buy more wine. So they say, oh, when you go to restaurants, bring your own bottles. Oh, it's your wine. You can do whatever. No, it's not. It's not. It's your wine when you're home, not when you're a restaurant. A restaurant operator spends time and money to have a wonderful wine list. They have a great serving glasses. They have a wonderful service for you. Now you question whether he's going to make money or not selling a bottle of wine. Well, he shouldn't. You should be courteous and call the restaurant and say, would you mind if I bring my nice bottle of wine in it? It's a special occasion for me. And by the way, if you have a cork charge, I'm okay, whatever that is. But that's a service. That's what normal people do. You don't just come into a restaurant with 4 or 5 bottles of wines and all of a sudden you start acting like you're offended because I say, hey, look, what are you doing? Come on. It's my restaurant. A couple of bottles of wine, all right. 4 or 5. Then you have a wine that is on my list. Why? Why didn't you check before you came in? You would save you the trip. Because after all, by the time I put the cork jar, it costs you the same and I can enjoy a bottle of wine. So, see, small things like that, it makes life really uncomfortable. And that's why you have these people going around the restaurants with the Yelp and making a dumb assertion that the restaurateur tried to take advantage of them. And no, you don't. That's his business. That's how they make a living. That's how they feed their family. That's how every day they get up and try to be honest about their job. What are you saying? He has no right to make money, but you, in your own business, have the right to do whatever you want? I never went to a lawyer or a doctor and have a conversation about why you charge me this much when the guy down the street does that much. They're just silly. If you enjoy the relation you have with your doctor and you think he's a wonderful professional, that's great. And this idea that doctors and lawyers are more important than chefs, why? Who makes this nonsense? We all important. Yeah, we all essential services. If you come to my place, that means you enjoy what I do. And if you don't come. So it's not yes or no proposition here. You have to be realistic. You have to be honest. And the truth is that if you are communicating courteously, there's always a level of accommodation we all be on part of. Why? Because we want to enjoy the company. We want to enjoy the relationship. But you're knocking down the door like you own the place, then it's easy. Trust me, write a check. I'll take it. I'll go on vacation. I don't mind it. But come in somebody's house, because that's what a restaurant is. It's someone's house. It is. So, and start telling what's right and what's wrong, which picture's on the wall. That's kind of like, hey, dude, relax. You know what I mean? Easy now. Easy. Life is good. We all love each other. But let's don't cross those lines because it's not necessary. The same reason why I don't buy certain wines, but I never went out of my way to make a point of it, to mention what wine I don't. Or I never made a point of it to go to those winery and tell the guys at the winery, your wine sucks. You're doing funny stuff with your wine. No, I just don't buy it. I think when people ask me what I think of it, I just don't talk about it. Or if it's someone I trust, then I'll have an honest conversation. But other than that, you're always trying to be respectful of the process and honor people that do hard work, whatever their intention may be. Like a lot of people don't know, but when you walk into a mega store, there's a lot of wines there you never heard their name. There is a reason why you didn't, because they don't exist. They are made up names. They're drifters. They are people that buy grapes over production of juice, and they fix it up and they put a bunch of names on and they sell it. What's wrong with it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. You just don't know. So you have a whole industry of honest work which you can check their address. You can go see what they're doing. Or you can buy product that you never heard of, never seen it. You don't know where they come from. You don't know what they've done with it. Okay, it's your choice. But as a wine person, as a wine professional, I like to inform you and let you know that those things exist. They're truth. They're there. They're out there. And you guys all remember the biggest foe about Charles Shaw. You remember that. I had a customer of mine, a very good friend, who came one day at my place and he was so excited. He goes, "Oh my God, you should go to Trader Joe. They sell this Cabernet Sauvignon, the best wine I ever drank. And it cost only $2, $2 chuck." I laughed. I said, "Listen, it makes no sense." He goes, "What do you mean?" "Well, do the math. The cork, the bottles, the foil, the wrap, the box. You're in for about $1.50. So what are you saying? The guys just lose money to sell you wine? Oh, why you have to be so suspicious? I don't care. Maybe he use all this mantra that's used in businesses. Oh, he has a big quantity. What difference it makes? Why, you're making more wine? The bottle is still a bottle. Whether you're selling 1,500 bottles or 15,000 bottles, the cost of the bottle in my vary is a few cents, but not that much, right? Then there's cost of transportation, personnel, and so on. I mean, bottle of wine is just a bottle of wine. What goes around the bottle is out of the cost. So how is this guy giving you this product? Well, we know the truth. Mr. Franzia got fined $2 million for carrying grapes and juice from Central Coast, from Modesto and on. There was no Cabernet in it. Mostly was some unspecified. Well, we know what it was in it, but still, I mean, average grapes that they were built for bulk wine, and basically what he did, he repackaged it, the bulk wine, had a few wood chips in it, pack it up a little tastier, and boom, here you go. The same box of wine of 25 liters, you paid half the price, and now you're paying double the price because it comes in a bottle and it looks fine. Look, at the end of the day, like I say, Vino Veritas, I can tell you the truth or I can tell you I'm drunk, one of the others. But either way, it doesn't change the facts. And the facts are the mighty idea that every bottle that you touch is the greatest bottle we ever had. It's kind of like, okay, slow down a little bit, bucko. There is a good bottle of wine. It's a nice bottle of wine. And then there's an amazing bottle of wine. But the amazing bottle of wine is not amazing for you to have 300 years of long life. It's just amazing because you have an experience that feels that way. So we have to understand that the difference in the palate are very small. The uniqueness of wines is what we do with it and who we drink with, and the moment that we create. That makes that bottle of wine so much more exciting, and that's the beauty. That's really the beauty. That's the truth. That's in Vino Veritas. It's the people we drink the wine with, the people that we share the moment with, and the moment itself, with that bottle, can create something that is amazing and long-lasting. So when we are focusing on those elements, yes, wine, it can be magical. Wine is magical because it's a wonderful bond in between all things that we hold dear. Conversations, friendship, family, a bond of sharing ideas and experience of life, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a pass away or a birth of a new child, or just the 2, 4, 5, 6 friends get together and break bread. That's the magic. In himself, that is just a bottle with the label on it. Maybe honest, maybe not. With the vintage on it, maybe real, maybe not. Because those are true too. I've been in a winery where the vintage they were selling was the prior vintage that they even sold, and they rebottle it, which is, the wine is fine, but that's dishonest. And if I didn't have a trained eyes to see those things, it would have been completely okay. But it's not okay because now I know it. And in fact, I asked the winemaker, I said, why are you doing that? Because, well, There's nothing wrong with the wine. The wine is fantastic. It's like, I want you to try. I did. Fine, it was fine. But, we had a bad sale here, so we thought about it, just to recork it and sell in the new vintage year. And then now the market is pretty hot. Okay, good business move. But why did you do that? Because you could have easily sold the vintage year this year. The wine is fine. As 1 year maturity. You could have sold it that way. You see, so to me, it's easy to be honest and it's easy to tell the truth, because I don't see the problem when you actually have good reasons, when you don't have malicious motives. That's the reason why when I answer questions, I'm always open. I'm always honest. Why? I have nothing to hide. I'm not afraid of the truth. And I don't have a truth that I have a lot of fathers and one mothers. I have a truth that I see every day. I experience every day. In fact, we're going to post in our YouTube some of the raw footage of the wine events that I do, the wine tasting that I do with my vendors. And that way you can see a little bit how we approach wine. Very simple, good communications, a little bit of information or some strong information. But we approach everything very clean, very easy. We don't have pretensions. We don't make a big hoo-ha on it. It's wine. And we know that. And that's important. Because on the end of the day, I want all vendors, all producers, they come to me with their best they got. Doesn't matter what the price is. I wanted them to come to me with honest story about what they're representing, because I will verify. Because remember, I will tell you the story, and that story has to have a lot of truth. Now, we can embellish it. That's okay. It's poetic justice. We can be poetic about it. But outright liar is not acceptable. It's not acceptable in the wine business. It's not acceptable in any business, but in a wine business especially, because it's something that I hold very dear. So when I go to wine shops and stores and I hear people selling things that makes no sense, I don't interfere, but it really bothers me a lot, because they're telling people things that don't need to be told, and half a truth and innuendos about something that is not. I mean, it's easy to sell Amargaux. We all know what that is. It's easy to sell Lafite. We all know what it is. It's a fantastic overpriced wine. Okay, great. And if you're that kind of guy, it's already drink, it's great. It's nothing wrong with wine. It's fantastic. It's wonderful, but it's wine though. Remember, when I say the word fantastic, I mean it in a good ways. But it's not fantastic like when your baby's born. You know what I mean? That's amazing, fantastic. It's an emotion that you remember the lifetime. I opened many bottles of Lafite and many bottles of Petrus and Margaux. And I remember the people I had it with. And I can tell you some notes because I have that kind of mindset. I can retain a lot of ethereal and perfumes and so on information. But it is about the wine. You know what I mean? Next day, I had to get up and go to work. So it's not life-changing. It's a wonderful experience, but not a life-changing. Your child, it's a life-changing, believe me. I have 3 of them, and they changed my life in a very big way. In a good way, but in a very big way. So that's why I bring it on the subject to you, because I want to make sure that we all understand the concept, what a wine is, and what truth is about wine. What we have to, when we talk about wine, what we can brag about it and what we shouldn't brag about it. And too many people, they project their personality through the wine. They didn't make them. They projected their status through the wine. Okay, that's wonderful. However, I can assure you, there are only few people in the world that have overpaid to a point where it is bizarre. You know, where it's almost money, it's non-issues because I don't care. But it's got nothing to do with wine, but it's got to do all about them and what they project into the world outside. You know, the first time that a friend of mine introduced me to Scream Eagle, you know, and he was talking about it. And I happen to know a lot about it because one of my dearest friends who passed away this year, and very sad, a wonderful gentleman, Mr. Kalabach, that we shared many, many wonderful meals and wine together. He was the guy who actually put the deal together for Mr. Bang to create this Screaming Eagle. And he had the collection from the very beginning. It was a great ploy. It was a great idea. They came up with this promotional thing. So the wine skyrocketed. All of a sudden, people, the only thing they want to talk about was the price. But fundamentally, it was a good Cabernet. I never opened a bottle of Screaming Eagle thinking that this wine is reflective of the price at all. I always thought it was a good wine. Now, how much you want to pay for it, that's your choice. How much you're willing to pay for it, that's your choice. But trust me, there are people out there that they buy it and they enjoy it. As much as you buy and enjoy Chemist, or you buy and enjoy Joseph Fights, one of my favorite wines. Why? Because it's honest. It's a wonderful representation of what everything you love about Napa Valley. Big, dusty, great personality, tons of good tannins, wonderful fruit, wine that lives a long time and made it with an incredible integrity, because I remember the old man. But listen, you want to buy the latest, hottest, that's wonderful. I love it. And I love to share it with you, and I love to buy it for you. So, but to tell us the truth, that is the truth, that is not. It's one of the many truths that we tell about wine. So when we enjoy what we enjoy, it's a one thing. But we are trying to pontificate about wine. We have to be very careful how we talk about it and what we talk about. Because there are many, many people out there enjoying a good glass of wine, enjoying a wonderful company, and there are many, many wonderful wines that can do just that every day of the week and twice on Sunday, and you do not have to show your checking account or anything else to enjoy them. And if you do have a wonderful collections of these mega wines, please don't be shy. Share it. We would love to find out how you enjoy these wines, and we love to share it with you our experience about the wines, because you might change our mind and make us a wonderful, a wonderful new fan of your wine collections. So if you do have a great wine collection, don't be shy. Call us. Let us know. We love to take pleasure in enjoy with you all your labor of love and collections for all these years, and we'll listen to every story you got to say. Tell us, and we love that. And we are the sum of ours, and you will notice that on the end of the night, the bottle is gone. We'll be laughing, you'll be enjoying it, and we're going to tell our future generations the moment in which we opened that particular beautiful bottle of wine. In the meantime, tell me about your truth about wine, how you feel when you drink, how you feel after you drink, and what kind of wines are your favorites. With that in mind, we'll see you next time. Arrivederci. Ciao.